Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Timpley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network. Welcome to the first Happy New Year, belated Happy New Year, first of all, to you. Welcome back to the first Food Safety Fridays of 2016. It's the 39th in all. We had 38 last year. So it's the first one of this year, and this year we have another 26 planned, a few less than last year, because it was quite exhausting by the end. We did 38, but 26, that's average of one every 2 weeks, so enough to keep us going. Lots of new subjects, some new presenters, some returning presenters from last year, so hopefully we'll have a good year again. So it's nice to have you with us. We've got 850 people registered today, so nice to have you here. Today's speaker is Oscar Rodriguez Gonzalez, who presented a couple of times, well, I think 3 times last year. This year today we'll be focusing on auditing and some of the tools that we can count on. There are 2 major tool groups, ones that can help an audit become more efficient, and then also ones that assist us with the actual investigation itself. So Oscar's going to be focusing on that. I think, Oscar, you should have your, you're not sharing your presentation, Oscar, you're sharing you're sharing me. Okay. I don't think the audience want to see me too much. There's some polls today, ladies and gents, that we'd like you to partake in. We'll have the presentation shortly, the PowerPoint, and then we'll follow that with some Q&A. Feel free to type your questions in the comments and chat with each other throughout. And for now, I'll hand you over to Oscar. Okay, Oscar, it's over to you.
All right. Thanks again for inviting me to speak on the Food Safety Fridays. It's an honor to share some ideas with colleagues working in the same field that I specialize on. Some of the ideas that we'll be talking about have been the result of recent work and study or research. Last month I have been working on an auditing course and investigation, planning an investigation course, in addition to what's happening around the professional societies, what is being discussed in these groups. For those of you that it's the first time that you heard about me, I have a PhD from University of Guelph and a master from Texas A&M, and after going through academia, I got some certification to stay actualized on what's happening in some of the fields of interest. So I got certified as a food scientist, a quality engineer, a professional agrologist, and the most recent has been in sustainability professionals, where I'm sustainability associate. Most of this certifications helped me with the science part of food safety, but probably half of them, the quality and sustainability, is more about management and systems, because that's one of my recent interests on systems and management. These are more applicable to this talk. Like you may be familiar with the role of an auditor, is to give a second opinion on a system or process. In some textbooks, like related to auditing, they discuss more the different type of audits. like you may be familiar, in food processing and food plants, we get third-party audits when we are working on Global Food Safety Initiative certification. We also get regulatory inspections, which is when the government comes to do an inspection. These are called compliance audits or third-party audits or system audits. So basically, they are auditing if our facility is compliant to the code, the regulations for safe handling of food, or whether the standard has established. But the auditor role can be broader, like it has more applications because it can be second-party audits where your customer comes to audit, or you go to audit a supplier as a exchange of information between the two parties that are doing business. There are performance audits, which is more on the business side of efficiency. It can be specific to process or products, like you getting gluten-free certified, or related certifications like peanut-free, and you're not certifying the whole plant, maybe organic certification. So when you look at to auditing as a profession, as a function, it's a different type of audits, and you can even be inside the plant and be an internal auditor, reinforcing the content of some code to within your company. So what we're going to be talking about in this presentation is applicable to anytime when we are in the role of auditing. Like the difference is a third party is a contractor party to give collect evidence and give an opinion on the certification of the company, and all refer to a written code and a standard where the rules are established. In most of the third-party auditing, is a relation between start with the certification body with the client. In the auditing groups, the client as the person that pays for the audit, which is usually the president or the owner of the company. There can be also another company paying for that audit. It can be a different company that wants a certification body to audit the company. So there are different arrangements. What happens at the end in the practical part is that the auditor or the team of auditors go to the auditee, go to the facility, and then they do the inspection, the evaluation of the system and the processes, and then they come up with a conclusion and give a recommendation for improvement and for certification. So most of the activity, or say the fun part, happens within the auditor or the audit team, and the auditee or the auditee team, which is when the audit is being conducted. But then there is a whole of preparation and planning before doing the audit. Then there is the day of the audit, when the two parties walk through the facility and revise the documents. Then if non-conformances are found, that there has to be some reporting and follow up on corrective actions, and also requirements. There are requirements for the management of this process. So like it's talking most continual improvement circles. There's a planning, then doing. There's also applies for auditing. The closer we get to how the audit is going to be, the better, for the less stress for the auditee. They know what time everything is coming, and then there is some work that we need to do as auditors if we are not in the same, working in the same facility, where we have to arrange traveling and meals and all the logistics to get to the place of the audit safe. Then once we get it to the place, it's a final adjustment on details on this is how the plant looks like, or this is how the production operation looks like, and this is what we're going to be walking through. This is the documents that we're going to be looking at. And then the audit happens, and then evidence is collected, and we have to prepare a report and follow up with corrective actions. So we look into auditing as a process. There is a lot of things that need to be done before the audit, and there's still more work to do after the audit in the reporting and closing non-conformances. What the Global Food Safety Initiative is talking about auditors is about having some skills, different group of skills. From my experience, each scheme like Canada GAP or Primus or SQF have their own rules on how to evaluate auditors. What the Global Food Safety Initiative is talking about is three main categories of skills. One is having knowledge about auditing or auditing skills. The other is technical skills, which is related to food safety. The third group is behavior and system thinking, which is more related to management. Auditing skills, because there's not only food safety audits, there are financial audits and then performance audits, energy audits. There is like a basic knowledge on the process of auditing. Most of these skills are interchangeable. The whole process of planning and organizing, getting to the place on time, that's pretty basic. Coping with roadblocks and making sure that the audit happens without, that you get to the audit without having any problems on the road. But then there's the process of collecting evidence, and then we have to collect evidence from people. So we have to talk with a practitioner, the supervisor. Then we have to observe. We have different things to report, to look into the facility, to look into equipment, look into the food material, look into documents. Then we have to record that information to prepare the report. This collecting evidence is a lot of observation and recording. But then we also need to have the ability to analyze and look to this evidence as a system to compile in different sets of non-conformances or findings to give a recommendation to the auditee. There's some discussion on how to do audits, or some differences in depending on who conducts the audit. There's some groups look into auditing as a you meet or don't meet the requirement, and then you just fix if you don't meet the requirements. Some other professionals are of the opinion that it has to be a learning experience for the auditee. It's not just policing to meet the requirements. It's not consulting, but the auditee has to get some knowledge or some perspective on what to improve on the audit. Then there is the whole reporting, which is documenting everything that was observed during the audit. So other business or other people can see. And once we prepare the audit report, there'll be not only the auditee reading it, but they'll be shared with customers of the auditee. This report will be not a public document, but there'll be a lot of people reading. So we have to be careful with the reporting. With the food safety part, the technical side of food safety, most of us are familiar of what cleaning and sanitizing means, and what are the structural requirements, which is all the good manufacturing practices or good agricultural practices. There are some most of the times via HACCP. We have to evaluate the HACCP plan. In the technical side of food safety, there's most of the good manufacturing practices are easy to follow. From my experience, the HACCP plan is still some confusion, and that's where I'm collaborating with colleagues on clarifying what hazard in a control method should look like. There's what is considered a hazard that varies depending on who's presenting that information. I've heard about nutritional hazards and radiological hazards. Which we look deeper is always a chemical hazard. It's not a nutrition the problem is a chemical. So there is some variability on how to write the hazard plan. So we have to be aware, and we have to know chemistry, but some people may be reporting as a nutritional hazard or a radiological hazard. And that's where food science come handy to help us with understanding what's really happening. But then probably a concept that is not usually reviewed in food science circles or food experts is that of behavior and system thinking. Behavior is related to psychology and management. There is a person from Walmart talking about food safety culture, behavior, which is how to manage people to motivate them to do more food safety. In this case, is the auditor conduct and behavior, because how we behave during the audit is going to influence on how the auditee respond to the questions being answered. My opinion is, and from what I know, is we have to be as much as neutral as possible. Sometimes the auditee may be stressed out just because of they spend the last 2 days just cleaning the facility and putting everything back in place. And when you get to the audit, they are not relaxed. They are in aggressive mode. So then, as an auditor, we don't have to kind of get into conflict with them because of, that would just make worse the situation. We have to be professional and keep things calm. There are different ways to get information. We don't have to force people to give us information. It's about handling the person. So then we have to know our personalities and how people behave in different situations, especially on stress situations. Then also the system thinking component is not specific to food safety, like behavior and psychology. System thinking is more into looking big picture, then zooming into specific areas, and then stepping back and looking how all the pieces fit together. And for that, we have to also understand how the organization manage its people, its processes. So this is one skill that we have to. It can be learned. We have to develop by looking into different systems, how they manage their organization. And after some time, we get to know it's easier to recognize how the different style of management and leadership organizing the work and the people. So what we're going to do is basically what the Global Food Safety Initiative is recommending or is talking about. We're going to discuss this, the tools that we can use to get better with these skills or get some assistance on these skills. Because my engineering background, I'm a fan of computer-aided engineering or computer-assisted engineering. So I think that the more information that we have and we can be assisted with, the better we can get in our game and playing the game of auditing. So based on these ideas, which categories of skills do you think that you will need more reinforcement in the skills of auditing and food safety knowledge, or food science knowledge, or behavior and system thinking?
Okay, I've set that poll in the sidebar, ladies and gentlemen. Which category of skills do you think that you need more reinforcement? Auditing skills, technical skills, or behavioral and system thinking? Just while they're answering the poll, Oscar,
Yeah.
a couple of people have asked what systems thinking is. Can you explain that in an easy, short way? Is that possible?
Yeah, like a synonym would be like big picture thinking, but the picture is it's about the relationships within things. It's that an organization or a system has different roles, like the president of the company, accounting, production, laboratory, quality assurance, shipping and receiving, maintenance. So we have to understand what engineering does, what accounting does, what production and management do, but also how they are related.
Yeah.
Like once we have an idea of how the organization is composed, and then we start looking into the relationship between them. Like most managers use this idea of managing relationships rather than technical knowledge. Like is it a conflict between accounting and production, or something is not working within engineering and
yeah,
like equipment fixing and personnel and human resources, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, like you say, it's understanding that the organization is a big picture that's interrelated. There is inputs and outputs all over the place, and yeah, just understanding the business and how it all interrelates with each other and interacts. Yeah. Okay. The poll, almost half struggle most with behavioral and system thinking. auditing skills 30%, technical skills 20%. Yeah, a fair number of people struggle with all three elements, you know, but mostly behavior and systems thinking.
Yeah, I guess because behavior is more I'm still personal. I'm still learning because behavior is related to economics and how to motivate people. There's people that say that you can motivate people with money, but I heard also that younger generations, they are not just, or young professionals, they are not just for the money. They want to have their community and the society. So most managers will be looking into how can I make my team do what I want them to do. So how am I going to reward them or to punish them to make them do where we're going to. So it's still more it's more management knowledge and on behavior, managing different personalities. And that's going to affect the. We're going to talk about in a bit the interview process too, because it's making people do what we want them to be doing. And are we going to do that with money? Are we going to do that with punishment, or are we going to give them some incentives to make them move? Right? So that's a very interesting subject that I'm still learning too. So this will be the 4 major groups that we'll be talking about on systems analysis, observation, document management, and communication. Systems is about, like we talked about, looking into the different pieces and how they are connected. The American Society of Quality, they have an article on the different tools that can be used, which, like you see in the picture, is different activities, or in this case, will be different documents with ins and outs, and then how they are interconnected. So in some of the audits that I do, that's the first thing we look into the map of the facility where we're going to be walking through, or this is the map of the farm where the different the water is, the chemicals are. We can do that same with the documents. You usually get the list of the documents. These are the documents that we have. This way to look into the documents will be to put them in the layout like this, especially when we're doing traceability. And there are 3 types of diagrams that can be used for analyzing the system. This is a interrelationship, used interrelating different activities. The most common use is a cause and effect diagram. There is a discussion on the proper use of cause and effect during an audit, because let's say we're doing an audit and we find a lot of problem with personnel. Personnel is not, the people is not doing the cleaning how they should be doing cleaning. They're not following the instructions, and most of the problems that we find are related to people. We could give a recommendation or a conclusion that you really need to work in your human resources, but that will be up to management to decide if they want to make an improvement of that, because that will be related to their management style. Where we use it most is on the corrective actions and preventive actions, where it's being talked that once we find the non-conformances, the auditee has to do the corrective action, which is the short-term fixing, and then has to come up with a preventive action, which is fixing something in the system to prevent a problem in the future. This is the concept of CAPA, or corrective action, preventive action, uses the principles of root cause analysis, and it's used a lot in the safety field. I was looking through some FDA documents, and it's not only food safety, but it's related to medical devices and medicines and drugs. They're using the concept, the ISO, which is quality management. They're saying that we don't need two types of actions, it's only one type of action. We need corrective and preventative. But from my perspective, it makes sense to make an emergency repair, like a quick fixing of something, and then with more time think about something in the system that needs to be changed to make the system more safe. So to make a systematic change, we have to put all the pieces together and look into the areas where the problem is coming from. It may be like in the root cause analysis, the equipment is too old and we really need new equipment, or the people is not collaborating, or really need to do something with people in the plant, or it's a material, too much contamination, and really need to work with the suppliers and getting better materials. So this is the type of conclusion that we have to come up with when we're doing the system analysis and look into the different problems. So the idea is that, especially if we're doing a recommendation, to give like a more accurate diagnostic, if they want to make a change in the system, this is the area that needs improvement and where we can focus more on the resources. There are some like this reality tree, which is more on establishing objectives that can be related to problems, because this is used more in theory of constraints, which is an area of continual improvement. But what they use this for is to plan the future. This is the side effect, on the side effects and the desired effects, and this is where we want to be. So by looking into a system like this type of arrangement, that the top is the future, then we go down to these are the things that we need to fix to get to where we want to be. So there are some type of visual description of the system to arrange activities and objectives of things to improve. More getting into collecting information, we're going to be talking about the 5 senses. If you're in food science, we do sensory analysis, because this is the main tool that we use to collect information. This is more like a trivial question. Which of the 5 senses do you think that is more used to collect information? Sight, hearing, smelling, tasting, or touching? Assuming that a person has the 5 senses working on.
Yeah, I've set that poll in the sidebar, and well, I imagined that sight would come out quite highly, and it is 87% so far as saying sight, 14% hearing, none, 0 smell, 0 touch, and 3 taste.
Okay.
So obviously, I mean, taste obviously is a very specific would be used in a very specific audit. Most GMP or GFSI audits, you wouldn't be going around tasting, licking things and tasting things.
Yeah, for safety, there's a safety hazard for the a personal safety.
Yeah.
And then and we're assuming that everyone working in food safety is has the 5 senses in
just
normal.
a question, Oscar. I mean, sight comes out way highest at 81%. But what do you? I mean, you know, if you go and wander around a factory, obviously you can see things, but until you let's say talk to operators, I often think there's a lot more value in speaking to several different operators, different levels, than just looking at things. You find the insight that you get is a lot deeper with listening to what people have to say.
Like it's but then the problem with getting information only from people is that they may be redirecting. You may be looking to a problem and they are talking about something else, and then if you don't point at problem that you're looking into, they may be redirecting the topic of the conversation. Like you're looking a worker that is not doing the food safety practices, and you're talking about traceability or something else.
Yeah.
But, well, you still can connect the pieces. So you point the problem during the audit, and then you collect information from different 3-4 people about the same thing.
Yeah.
So how you do hand washing, and then everyone is saying that they do it different. There's something wrong, like it's not being doing how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's the ability that we have to take different samples during the audit and then make a conclusion. Are they saying the truth or are they not saying?
Yeah. I mean, you need to be, the proper answer is that you need all your senses, but you do rely on some more than others. I mean, Frank said, try doing an audit blindfolded. Yeah, he's right. Exactly.
Well, it could be done, but then then you have to get some ways to verify that what you're looking is as because that's difficult when we're reviewing the audit report. The supervisor that reviews the report, he doesn't get to see the facility. So all the information that the supervisor gets is from writing. So he has to kind of picture if we don't take pictures during the audit, the person that reviews the report doesn't know exactly unless we describe it in writing. So that's kind of the challenge for translating what we're looking into the report that is going to be read by other people. It's a lot of translating what we're looking into to English language and then how they interpret it. So most of the using the senses is we assume that we have the senses in working order. We have we need glasses. We use glasses. We can use enhanced glasses to look in more detail. We can also use light to focus more into small problems. We can turn off the big lights and use a small light to focus in some areas. Um, the sense of smell is used for detecting if food is rotten or there is some problem on pest activity. I haven't looked into chemical ways to enhance sense of smell, but I guess it will be possible to make the nose more sensitive to odors. But then it would be maybe intoxicating as an auditor. But like in learning, the results of the poll, it is generally known that visual is where most of the communication happens for humans. So most of the learning and most of the information that we collect as human beings is by looking into things. So watching is very important to collect information. Then when we're inspecting cleanliness, we're looking, there is no visual dirt. The equipment doesn't smell or to food or to the chemical that is being used for cleaning. I was looking into some documents on inspecting equipment for sanitary design. And there is visual, olfactory, and touching is linked to the three senses. So they suggest three senses to verify that it's clean. I guess the sense of touching for verifying cleanliness it may be a tricky sense to use because you'll be contaminating the equipment. The equipment's already clean, and then you use your hands to verify that there is no sand or another material. So you have to clean it again. But then hearing is more during equipment operation and collecting information from people. We're talking, we have to verify that what they say, we collect that information correctly. They may not be speaking clear, so just repeat the question and verify that the answer that they say is the same. We won't be eating too much in food safety or testing if something is soft or hard because I'm breaking teeth, and so that may be the sense that we use the least. How we can enhance the senses, like we talk about, there is some physical methods to enhance. Maybe some physical methods sorry, chemicals and physical. Want to hear more? Use hands or use some hearing aid to get into details with lower volume. Putting things in the mouth is more a safety issue. We won't be, just the sense that we won't be using too much in food safety. And this also needs to be calibrated, right? And like any other instrument that is used, we have to kind of calibrate that we're not looking something the other person is not looking. So we are observing and talking with the UCDs, and they confirm that what we're looking is the same thing. When I was a student, we have inspections where like the inspector would turn the lights off and put the lamp on the floor. Any dust on the floor can be seen with the light. Then everyone agrees that the floor is dirty, or the water is supposed to be running clear in the drains. It's supposed to be fresh water. Then there's no contamination in the water. All those things we are observing and we are verifying. We're calibrating that we are observing the same problem. So that's another thing with using the senses to collect information. We had to kind of calibrate it in some form. More into managing the collecting information from people is we had to know some psychology to get information from other person, right? Learning more on how to do interviews and people from police do interrogations. There's people that collaborate when you ask them, they say the truth. They point you to the right documents or to the area that you want to see, and then everything goes fine. There may be people that it's difficult to give information. Then you have to look into the interview as a process where you have to play some psychology to get the answer. One of the concepts that is talked about in marketing and how to connect with people is rapport. Rapport is making the person to have confidence with you. You have to play personalities and rapport. What is being said is that we have to imitate the other person, okay? Like especially the emotions. Right? Like if they are angry, we have to play angry, but angry with the same problem. If they are happy, we have to play happy too. If they are sad, they're playing sad. Once you gain the confidence from the interview, then you start getting into, now give me the information that I'm looking for. People in police, and there's they look into culture too, like body proximity to in different cultures, and how you sit in the table with a person from a different culture. There's difference between men and women, how to get information from men and women. So the people that have been doing interrogations and interviews, they have a lot of information on how to get information from others. There are also visual clues to see if a person is lying, which is body language. They may be saying one thing, but the expression is different. Then we have to look in other ways to verify that information. At the end, we have to, because we have to agree with the non-conformance, we have to convince them that there was a problem there. And even if they were lying, you have to come up from them that it really was a problem there, and they have to fix it. So that's what the building rapport is, just gaining the confidence of another person. People in marketing, they use it if they want to sell you something. But once you build the confidence, you have to play the game. Right? If you're looking for information, you have to get the information. If you're looking for selling, you have to come up with you have to sell, or you have to buy. The other thing is communication. The communication model, the most general is the receiver, the sender and the receiver, and then there is a message with a feedback, and there are different channels, there are different ways to communicate. Like we talk, we communicate visually, then we're doing verbal communication. Then we'll be using written communication. Then it'll be an interaction between the sender and the receiver, and just verifying that we're talking about the same thing. And if there was a problem, they or you are getting convinced that the problem is there, and it has to be fixed. Probably most recognized as a tool would be checklist. And it's a lot of information that most auditors they pride on remembering the clause number where things are written. This is our clause number 2.5.743. But I guess that comes after doing the same audit a lot. And you have a problem with a clause before, then you kind of get a trauma, you know, with a clause, but then if not, we use a reference listing. And in quality auditing, they talk about sending the checklist of the things that are going to be evaluated before. In food safety, if we're talking about the same standard, we know that there is the same checklist. So what we're doing during the audit is just going through the checklist with the auditee and looking into if they have read it before that you have done it. And now the question is why they didn't do it. But then a checklist is useful to remember things that we may not be memorizing at the beginning, like spaces, like measurements. This is a checklist from sanitary equipment design from the American Meat Institute. One of the audits that I work, which is Primus GFS, they also have specifications on distances from the floor and from the walls. If you have not done too many audits, you won't remember them that easy. But it comes with practice that you memorize, or if you spend some time before memorizing, you will get them. But it would be useful to have a list handy. The other things like how many points are going to be taken off or from some deviations. Primus is good into that. Highlighting this is 10 points. This it will be 7 points. This is only one omission. This will be 3 points. This is several omissions. It will be 0 points if there's nothing at all. SQF has this in the explanation of the audit. It's called the guidance. It's not a it's similar to Primus GFS, but when you're doing the audit and then you come up with a non-conformances and you just want to give the auditee this is how many points you'll be losing, then it's able to get to the list and this is what has been estimated, and then this is what you're gonna get as a final score. With the things of checklist, it's useful for reference, so we don't have to remember everything. First slide, sorry. We're going to talk about checklist after using for collecting information. So this is a reference list where we have all the details available. We also, when we play with documents, we do traceability of documents. Depending on the audit, some of them may be tougher on the traceability component of the document. We're not only tracing product, like from receiving to storage to manufacturing and shipping, but we may be also tracing deviations. This deviation was detected in production and then was given to quality practitioner or the safety practitioner to do an assessment or tracing. Like a product was put on hold, then what happens with the product that was put on hold? There was a repair or was disposed. So it's the whole chain of events that what happened with that product. Most of what happened with the corrective actions and deviations. It also used in the calibrations. This is monitoring, this is verification, this is calibration. And the equipment has been calibrated as to come up with from a standard of calibration. So when we're playing with documents, we have to use the traceability concept a lot, and we have to have that ability or tools to facilitate this. In auditing is called different ways to testing for tracing documents. They can trace forward, like from the origin to the end. You can trace backwards from the end to the beginning. Okay, you can do random sampling, but this is one of the areas where the concept of looking to the system of documents come handy, because we look into how the information flows in that organization, and then we're able to connect the dots on where information is lost or what is the area that is missing that needs to be improved. The last question is if you use checklists when you for auditing and internal auditing or third-party audits.
Yeah, as we can see, I've set the poll on the sidebar. I do use checklists for auditing, obviously. 90% yes. Well, 13% no. I mean, most audits would use a checklist. What kind of audit wouldn't use a checklist?
Yeah. And the question is the type of checklist, right? Why you'll be writing or not. We're collecting information. In the field of auditing, they talk about scoring or non-scoring, which is getting points or not points, right? Then there is it can be as simple as yes or no, or yes, maybe, not, satisfactory, no conformance, or can be as complicated as collecting evidence for who did it, what the person did, where was done, when was done, why, and how, which is of the documents, right? It can be as simple as, do they have a procedure for cleaning? And you say, yes, they have a procedure for cleaning. Or you can go as complicated as, yes, they have a procedure for cleaning, and the number of the procedure is 1.4.547, and then the person that does responsible for the procedure is the sanitation personnel. They clean daily, and you give some details on cleaning. So there's managing a lot of information to collect the evidence. It depends on where you're being requested, but when doing the audit, I have seen from yes, they have it, yes, they don't, no, they don't have it, to giving the full paragraph of what they have, like for cleaning. I was also seeing in the sanitary design, they request for picture, like the equipment was not compliant with the requirements. This is the picture of the part of the equipment that is not compliant, look by yourself. This is the part that doesn't fit the design requirements. So more about using checklists or not will be how much detail do you have to collect or to have available during the audit, and that will depend on the time that you have for doing the audit, how much information do you need to collect, and then as time management, right? You have a big audit in one day, and you prioritize, go by the highest point items, or then focus on those, or find another way to collect that information more efficient, more effective. So checklists are very handy, and there are different types, and we can make our own too. Most of the time, to go for safety management, people say it's overwhelming, but then you show them a list in one page, then it's, oh no, that's easy. But then you get complicated, right? This is cleaning. Cleaning has to have a cleaning procedure, and this is acid cleaning, this is alkaline cleaning, and the water has to be safe, and all this. So in conclusion, there are tools that can be used to facilitate analysis for systems. It's like we look into maps of facilities and layouts. We can have maps for the system, for looking into documents and responsibilities, like organizational chart. We also use our senses to collect information. We can enhance them with some tools like glasses or lamps. Being prepared for the audit in sensory analysis. People that don't drink coffee before doing the audit. Anything that's going to affect our collection of evidence with the senses. Getting information from people, like we talked about, is useful, but we have to have the skill to get that information. And if you don't get it the first time, you have to verify. Or we are getting mixed signals. We have to look into the audit as the day of the audit. We look to the problem in the morning, then in the afternoon, we come back to the problem and see if you got the right answer or not. And there's still a closing meeting where people have time to think about the problem, and then everyone gets convinced it's a problem or not. Then the reference documents that used for managing information, which is basic like memorizing things. You have tools to help with the memorization. You either bring the reference document or try to memorize it somewhere. There are techniques for memorization too. Also, the auditor has to have the ability to trace documents, or materials backwards and forwards, and do some sampling, because we cannot go through each document looking if all of them have been signed and completed. Use some sampling. It's just not sampling for recording mistakes, but also if they are connecting the dots and the information, if the information is flowing how it should. It's a management review. The management review included deviations that were found during one of the months or during one of the records. Also, communication, it goes from visual to verbal during the audit, and then written communication. We use checklists to collect the information, then we have to put that evidence in a way that someone else that doesn't come to the plant can have a good idea on what's happening in the plant related to food safety. I guess there's probably one of the things that we need to work more on people is we're not native English speakers, because we may not have that written communication that well, and this to become misleading for the people reading the report. But then that's part of the practice of communication. So these are the some of the documents that were used to prepare this presentation. They include the Global Food Safety Initiative, the quality auditing, and quality management, root cause analysis, and tools. If you have any questions, how are we doing with time?
Okay, yeah, we've got some time. If you want to stop sharing your screen now, Oscar.
Okay.
Thanks very much for that. Some useful tips. I just want to echo what Ines has said in the sidebar as well. Thank you, guys. Your comments enrich the webinar a lot. There's been a lot of chat and comments in the sidebar all the way through, which has been very interesting to follow. Just one last poll for you, Oscar. The beeping noise every few minutes. The poll. We want to know: is that your smoke alarm needs a new battery, or are you pressing a button to make sure everybody sits upright every 2 minutes?
No, it's a smoke alarm. I just realized it.
Okay. Right. If you, at the moment, you're sharing my screen. If you want to stop sharing, Oscar,
okay,
then we can go on. If we've got any questions, could you please type them in the sidebar? Ravi's asked, is there any particular name for the person arranged by... Can you see the questions in the sidebar, Oscar? Can you see the questions in the sidebar?
Oh, yeah. There's the name escort or
escort.
Especially when it's a regulatory inspector where they're doing an investigation and they're collecting evidence and it's going to be some legal consequences. You better have a backup for that, because it's called the escort for the inspection escort or audit escort.
Yeah, an escort. Okay, any more questions? Can't see any. I did look for questions during the webinar, but it was more discussion of the fineries of auditing rather than actual questions. Okay. If any questions do come in, we can resolve them later. We have run past anyway. We're 10 past the hour. So I'd just like to say thanks, Oscar, for today. Thanks for your time and sharing your thoughts. Much appreciated. And we'll see you again later in the year.
Okay. Thanks for the invitation. There's a question on Six Sigma used to collect data. There is people working on indicators and collecting information from. I'll post a document on safety indicators and the different ways to collect information, like surveys, interviews, questionnaires. There are different tools for that.
Okay.
Correct.
Tina is asking, what is the path to be an auditor? I'm taking it the education path to be an auditor.
Yeah, you have to work with a certification body. The company is going to give you the contract, and then you have like training course and get some exams, and then be witness doing audits. some require more witness audits. A few you have to observe someone else doing audits.
Yeah.
And then you're evaluated.
I suppose also it depends what type of auditor. If you want to be an internal auditor, there's internal audit courses. There's various types of auditors. There's lead auditor. If you want to be a third-party auditor, as Oscar said, you know, you need a combination of knowledge of the product that you're going to be auditing, plus also auditing skills and experience. How long does it take? Again, Tina, it depends on what type of audit you want to be. Some are just one-day audit courses for an internal audit course, but for a lead auditor, it can be, I think it's 5 days or more. Okay, right. We'll leave it. We'll leave it there, Oscar. Thanks for thanks very much. Much appreciated. Okay, take care. Ladies and gents, next week, well, the next Food Safety Fridays is actually on the 5th of February, and that's Britta Ball. And Britta's going to be talking about, well, she's going to be giving some tips on how to measure food safety culture and food safety behaviour. And that's on the 5th of February. We're running a 2-hour basic hygiene course. The details are in the sidebar, so if you wanted to go for that, that's there. It is a paid one, that it's $57, I think, but it's a 2-hour basic hygiene training course. That's next Friday. So next Friday is the basic hygiene training course. Then we've got a week off, and then we've got the food safety culture and behaviour with Britta Ball. And Britta is a fantastic presenter. She did 2 or 3 last year, which was really good. The only other thing is for your certificate, I'll load that in the sidebar. You can download that directly. If you click that link, it'll open a web page, and on the right-hand side of that web page, you can download your certificate and print that and sign it. If you don't get that, we do send a follow-up email with your certificate, the recording, the PowerPoint presentation. We'll send that within the next few hours. So all registered attendees will get that email with all of that. So thanks for your attendance today. It's been a good session, lots of comments. I hope you stick with us throughout the year. We've got lots of different varied presenters and topics coming up. Something for everybody, and I'm sure you'll get a bit out of everything. So looking forward to seeing you all again in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, thanks for today. Have a lovely Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and have a great weekend. Let's hope it's nice and long. Take care. Bye.